Booktube. The simple definition, according to my very reliable source, Wikipedia, states, Booktube is a specific subset of the YouTube community that focuses on the topic of books. So, being a quote booktuber, I have accumulated a lot of books. However, the past 2 years, the type of books have become less me. My shelf no longer resembled any semblance of myself. Just like clothes can define someone's style, bookshelves tell a lot about a person and who they are. My bookshelves became the product of what the booktube community considered hot or hype. They became a product of consumerism and less a reflection of me. This is why booktube was bad for me as a reader. So not to say that this is everyone's experience, but this was mine. As much as we can say as creators that the numbers don't matter, they do. The amount of books you include in a haul, what type of books those are, everything contributes in the end. Why would I bother talking about Murakami or the latest manga I read when subscribers would rather hear about how trashy I am about Sarah J. Maas, or why I despise Carden from The Cool Prince by Holly Black? I hate that little bitch. Anything you decide to talk about is of course valid, but one can't help let it get to their head that these things do matter. The content you put out is an immediate reflection of your success. And I know there are people who would genuinely be interested in my book talks about Murakami or my manga rants, but at the end of the day, one can't help follow the trend. The expectation of what a booktuber looks like, talks, and acts was something I felt immensely from the beginning. I have to be a booktuber with great enthusiasm. I must completely recap a book for this book haul I'm going to film, but it has to be a good book haul. At least 10 books. The thumbnail must show off all these books in a way that the spines don't show because, ooh, clickbait! I must wear a lot of makeup. Have a signature lip color so people ignore the fact that I am Asian, because Asian booktubers aren't big and Asian booktubers are not the norm. You don't read anymore. This was a direct quote from my mom about 2 days ago. She's right though, I don't. After the initial high of being in booktube, what I read became less about what I wanted to read and more about which book would bring in more views. Why would I read a book if no one cared about it? I clearly cannot read Secret History by Donna Tartt because while I'm reading it, I don't have a clear thesis and full-on detailed review to give to the subscribers. This is what reading became for me. When I was reading, I would think of ways how I would describe the scene to viewers rather than just let the scene sink in and feel it, you know? I no longer read for myself, but for others. A book wasn't good if I didn't have a clear reason, right? I couldn't like a book just because. I can't even remember the last time I walked into a bookstore and just wandered around without a specific title in mind. As the year ended, I asked myself why I didn't film a year wrap-up. Oh, I only read 37 books. A big failure in the booktube community. I had read 100 books the previous year. What was happening to me? So this unhaul, if you're still watching, I'm getting rid of all the books that no longer feel like me. You don't keep clothes you don't wear anymore, right? Or that don't feel like your style anymore. There was never a guideline for what a booktube bookshelf looked like. There's no one telling you to buy certain books for this particular audience and to read them in this amount of time. This is just what it became for me. My reading life became what other people expected it to be. Reading became less about books and more about outcome. As long as you're genuinely excited over what you're talking about, people will care, right? So, as I sit here in front of all the books I removed from my shelf, I stare at a new one. A new me, a reader who doesn't read for others anymore, but for myself. Thanks for listening. Love, Ash.